Basically, a home inspection contingency, when you negotiate that, you have, the way it's worded is you have X amount of days where you as the buyer have the right to cancel.
Sure.
That's basically your right to do.
Right.
Now, can you renegotiate things? Absolutely. So let's just say it's either a 5 or 7 day contingency. Typically, the general home inspector will come in. It sounds like he found some suspicious items in the attic.
Yeah.
He's not an expert in mold, so I'm sure, just recommended to get a mold expert in.
Right.
Now, what's happening is they're probably running in with a day or two left on that contingency.
Right.
You have a couple options. And let me just back up. A seller's not obligated to do anything technically.
Okay.
The way it's worded is the only right a buyer has is to cancel if they're not satisfied with the home. Now, can you renegotiate? Absolutely.
Right.
But what's happened is there's probably a day or two left where they couldn't get the mold specialist in to test it within that time frame, right? You have a couple options. You can always ask to extend that period. That would be my first ask of the listing agent is, hey, we have a legitimate concern. We still want to proceed with the house, but we want to extend this another 5 days to get the professional in there. Or we can ask for the seller just to take care of whatever someone finds subsequently. A seller may be reluctant to do that, not knowing exactly what
they're
needed.
getting into.
Right. Yeah. But just on the surface of it, assuming that the buyer's agent made the request to extend the inspection contingency, the seller's not obligated to.
Yeah.
And so assuming the seller said, nope, because I don't know the situation. There could be other buyers waiting in the wings. It could have sold day one where it's not in their best interest to continue this. Now the buyer has a decision. Do I want to cancel or do I want to proceed? And it sounds like that's kind of the realm this particular
Okay,
buyer.
now from a seller's perspective, if I'm that seller, I'm automatically thinking, oh, I wasn't aware of that possible mold deal either. I'm going to call my own mold people, get this whole thing taken care of. So in the event that I have just canceled this last sale or the buyer backed out, I'm not going to have that hurdle again to worry about. Is that
Absolutely. Yeah, and so if I was representing the seller, what I would advise them is, look, when a buyer has concerns about a home inspection, if it is a legitimate issue that you are likely going to have to address for a subsequent buyer, you're probably going to want to have to address it now because it's going to keep coming up, right? But then you go in and you say, okay, what are the terms, the price of this offer and all of that. But the threshold for me is this going to be a repetitive issue for the subsequent buyer? You might as well, we're going to have to address it now and then do our own due diligence to find out what it is.